Hello, my name is Sean Walsh, student at WLC, currently enrolled in the Business Management Adult Accelerated program. The Strengths Quest exercise was a very eye-opening experience for me. I, as I'm sure is true for many people, felt I had a good grasp of my talents. I've often thought of talents as my ability to play basketball well, or my above-average knowledge of movie trivia. This assessment redefines what a talent means to me and takes my personality, thought process, skills, and working style into consideration to put them into a format that explains them as talents I can use in my personal and professional life. I agree with every strength that was discovered with this assessment. At some point in my life, all of the strengths I've tested for have been something that I have relied on to get me either through a tough moment in my professional life or a particularly challenging life event. My top five strengths are context, harmony, consistency, futuristic, and analytical. In this presentation, I will dive deeper and look at how these five strengths can define my contributions to my work and personal life and can be put to work for me. The number one strength I was given by my Strengths Insight test was context. The definition it gives is that I enjoy thinking about the past, and that I understand the present by researching its history. When I think about how that applies to me, I think back to my first go-round with college. When I was 18, I went to the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee for 2 years. While I was there, I figured out that I didn't really know what I wanted to do for my future career. That feeling of uncertainty made me feel panicked. Each semester I was there, I filled my schedule with history courses. It was the only classes that I enjoyed. I didn't want to be a history teacher or work in a museum, but I wanted something that felt natural. Taking those courses were fun. I loved finding out little details about wars or historical events I didn't know about. This is a strength that, if I know how to utilize it, can help me in my studies at WLC. Coming back to school was always important to me, but while I was working in my current career away from school, I began to mature and obtain skills in the workforce that made me a good employee and should help me in my time at WLC. I believe it will be important for me to continually draw back on my time at UWM and remember the frustration and that feeling of being lost. That is a life event that can be a motivating factor for me at my time at WLC. Knowing that when I was 18 that I was immature and not responsible enough to handle my school load can only inform the decisions I make at WLC. My strength of context is very prevalent in my personal life. One of the things I talk about with my wife is how I can be a little annoying when it comes to planning out social events or just random things we do. I always like to know the details. I need to know the context of what we do. While some people are great at enjoying the moment, I am not one of those people. In terms of my professional life, it is very important that I use my strength in context. I work in the review department of commercial loans at a community bank. It is my job to go through loans and read all of the detail. This strength benefits me with keeping me focused and helping my pace with reviews. Knowing what to look for is half the battle, and context has helped me progress through multiple promotions in the loan departments of the bank. My second strength is harmony. The test tells me that people who have harmony as a strength tend to look for themes of consensus with people in a group and that they don't enjoy conflict and instead would work towards an agreement. This is me to a T. I've always been this way when it comes to conflict amongst my family or my friends. I don't like the feeling like I have wronged someone, and in some cases I think I overcompensate and just take the blame. When I think about how this relates to school, I see this as something I need to work on. I'm assuming that I will be coming into classes that might require group work or group presentations. If I think back to high school, I think in group projects I tended to get taken advantage of, or I just didn't speak up about what could be my strength in a group. Truthfully, a lot of work with others falls on me. I need to be more assertive, and I need to speak up. Now that I see this as one of my strengths, I think this will provide more confidence for me in that field. Harmony is a great thing to have amongst a group of people working together, especially when they are all contributing to the goal of finishing a project that will help them get closer to their goal of completing their degree. Harmony is very, very important in my professional life. I am currently a lead in the department that I work at in the bank, and with that position, I am in charge of 7 individuals at the bank. It is very important that I communicate and realize problems as they come up and address it with the employees. Communication is such an important part of any job, but it is very important when you are in charge of someone. Being clear and getting that employee to understand what you need from them is step one in starting a good work relationship. My third strength is consistency. The test tells me that consistency helps me treat people the same and fairly, and that I try to establish a fair environment for all individuals I meet. It also states that I am good at executing tasks. It made me laugh a little bit when I read the first line. By nature, you feel excited about life once you have established and fine-tuned various procedures. Again, as I stated before, I like to know the details. This falls in with that. I'm a person that feels more comfortable when I am on a schedule. When wrenches are thrown into it, I tend to not adapt so well right away. Crazy things can sometimes happen in life, and when those come up, you can't plan for them. The structure I have around me is something that I am thankful for in these situations. I plan to use my consistency strength very frequently through my time at WLC. Consistency in how I approach my workload at WLC will help me succeed. In my upcoming classes, I'm expecting the workload to only get heavier and harder. The area that I feel consistency will help me the most is my consistency in how to dedicate time for my schoolwork. Working full-time and going to school has been difficult to adjust to. I just don't have that free time anymore to really do a lot of things I like to do in my personal life. That's why I have to remain consistent with my work ethic. I need to always have that approach in order for me to not get behind and not get tempted to do other things besides what is required for me at my job and with my schoolwork. It is important for me to always see the light at the end of the tunnel and realize it will be all worth it at the end of my time at WLC. In terms of my personal life, consistency is important all day, every day. Like I stated before, I work a full 40 hours a week and have a job where I am in charge of people. It is important for me to remain consistent in my life because I need to remain consistent in order for me to be viewed as a person that my employer feels is valuable. At home, it is important to remain consistent with who I am. Right now, we are in the process of selling our home, buying a new home, and it has been very tough balancing all of my workload over the last 2 months with work, school, and my personal life. I have to remain consistent with relying on the things I know. That will help me feel balanced and on schedule. My fourth strength is futuristic. The test defines futuristic as people who are inspired by the future and what could be. They inspire others with their visions of the future. This is a great strength to have for my time at WLC. I have talked about how hard I am expecting for it to get with the workload while at school and struggle of balancing that against my personal schedule and my career. Being futuristic will provide me the motivation to continue. Obtaining a college degree has always been a goal of mine, and with being able to envision the degree and how it will help my family, that will only motivate me in my time at WLC. Like I stated before, I like to have a schedule or like to feel control over the details. Being futuristic plays a part in this as well. I feel in my personal life, I am always looking ahead. While I try to enjoy things more in the moment, I can't help but think what the future will bring. That's the main reason I am back at school. Completing this degree in my mind will only help that future for me and my family. Being futuristic with my professional career so far has helped me obtain a better career path. I originally started as a teller at the bank, and I had the foresight back then to realize that I needed to get into a better department of the bank. There's only so much room to grow in that part of the bank, and I realized back then that I should look for other opportunities throughout the rest of the bank. My fifth strength is analytical. Analytical is defined in my results as people who search for reasons or causes. They have the ability to think about all the factors that might affect the situation. Being analytical has always been a part of me. When I think back to my time at EWM, being analytical is part of the reason I took so many history classes. I wanted to know why things happen in the world, not just that they did. I remember being in one of my courses and they encouraged us to start thinking about the point of view of the source, of the person who presented the history to you, and how that in the end really reflects what they're teaching you. In middle school and high school, I always thought they gave us the bare bones of an event, or just presented it in a way of how that affected the U.S. I think that history courses really challenged me to be analytical. I need to carry that to WLC. Being analytical ties into my work ethic. Doing the research is what is going to make sure that I get good grades from doing good work. Professionally, my job requires details and focus. Being analytical is a huge part of that. I need to continue that strength of mind to succeed in my current position so that down the road I can be considered for jobs where that skill set is required. Taking this test has reaffirmed these strengths to me. While I have thought of some of these things at points in my life as weaknesses, I see that they all enhance my personal and professional life. I expect my time at WLC will only enhance my 5 strengths. In 2019, when I graduate, I am positive that WLC will have made me a better person and a better resource for a company to have on their team. While the workload will be immense, I know that I have the strengths in order for me to succeed.